have the co-founder and managing director of VYTAL, Mr. Tim Breker. So please put your hands together and welcome with me on stage, Tim.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Please have a seat. Thank you so much for bringing me my breakfast. I was talking about it just now. How are you doing, Tim? You all good?
Very good, very good. Glad to see so many beautiful people here.
Yeah, right? The turn-up is amazing. I mean, there is 5 stools up here that are still empty. So for the people who are not afraid of sitting in front rows when they go to comedy shows or panels, feel free. It's also the row that you get talked to the most.
I used to work as a teacher, so yeah, I know the stigma of the first row.
I can imagine. Thank you for being brave enough to join the first row. Amazing. You used to be a teacher. I didn't know about that. Maybe we'll start with exactly that. How did your way from being a teacher to then becoming one of the thought leaders in the space, how did that happen?
Well, I think when I look back is that actually during my high school, I was privileged to go on a scholarship to the US for a year during high school. And my host father was a serial entrepreneur. Very inspiring guy, and what I learned from him is really to understand entrepreneurship as a tool in our hands to create change in the world. And this is, I guess, what unites all of us being here, that we really want to change something and that we want to take action. And so I did that, and after my bachelor's in business, I decided to join a program that's called Teach First Germany, and it sends you, as a university graduate that did not study to be a teacher, for 2 years to work as a teacher, doing projects with the most challenging, one of the most challenging high schools of the country. And this was my stint into the school, and I worked 2 years teaching English and math and business. And I also taught entrepreneurship, and that actually led me to my first company, which I started before VYTAL. It was also an impact company. I ran a franchise network for student-run school kiosks, so teaching entrepreneurship to 9th and 10th graders, and hopefully, creating some entrepreneurial spirit in them to go out and change the world as well.
We had a call before that, of course, and I loved this idea of the school kiosks. I really did. But when I thought about it later, I was like, what kind of products would they probably push onto that market that would not be that helpful to everybody?
Well, I think products that would have made like a ton of revenue but weren't allowed to sell were like single cigarettes, right? Yeah. But no, jokes aside, so we sold sandwiches, water, apple juice mixed with water, tea, coffee, these kind of things. And the coolest thing was when teachers came to buy stuff from the students, they loved it. It was a boost in confidence, and was very, very good.
I love that. I love that. That's how I'm going to have my kids make breakfast for us by just selling it to me. Tell me about VYTAL. Maybe we now go into the topic a little bit. And let us start with the problem that you are solving.
Well, I think it's rather simple, right? So for Germany, I know the number pretty well. So it's 14 billion single-use food and drink containers that we waste in Germany every year. For the European Union, it should be around 66 billion single-use items. And if you think about all these packages that have been, created from precious resources, then maybe used for coffee to go, or I saw here paper cups for espresso to go. Like, why do we need an espresso to go? But anyways, so they are only used a couple of minutes and then thrown away, and hopefully recycled, but we also need to understand that especially if containers are contaminated with fat and other food residuals, they're not easily recycled. So it's clearly the case in the takeaway packaging industry that we need to move to reuse as the standard. And I mean, we also use reusable plates at home, right? So we should also be able to use it in the gastronomy and at events.
I would have loved to have you on the panel before. You would have probably contradicted a couple of the statements. Am I getting this right, that you say we need to move to reuse from also recycling?
Yeah, I think so. What I want to add maybe to the panel that you guys just heard was that I really love the end about the mindset, right? Because if you think about reuse, oftentimes people look at all the barriers, the challenges and so on, and they look not so much on the bright side, on the benefits of reuse, right? From a really total cost perspective, It's more economically and obviously more environmentally friendly than single-use containers. And it's also a new opportunity for brands to move closer to the consumers and really create lasting relationships. And this is something where I think we really have the technology available, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, to make very efficient reusable supply chains or reusable value chains. So really from basically production of containers to reusing, and then end of life or beginning of new life. And yeah, so we should use that and really leverage the economic benefits of reusables. And yes, this was also mentioned before, we need to have a regulatory context in order to make this happen and make this profitable for all the involved companies. Because in the end, there are still today quite a number of switching costs from this, optimized in decades single-use linear value chain to move to a circular value chain that in the full-scale system will be much more economical than the current single-use value chains.
Use me, baby, one more time. Did you come up with that?
I think it was Britney Spears.
Good answer. Tell me about this. This feels very great, first and foremost. And it's black, which is why I'm definitely sold on it anyways. What makes this different?
Well, so this is a high-quality polypropylene reusable coffee cup. It obviously is much nicer to drink from a reusable cup than it is from a single-use one. And we can use it at least 200 times. Right, so it has a unique ID. You might have seen the QR codes here. We also have actually the first smart cup with dual tracking technology. So we have an individual QR code and also a unique RFID ID. And this enables us really to make these very efficient reusable supply chains. So using the RFID to optimize costs and really reduce the need for staff and labor, from taking reusables back to the logistics, the sorting, the cleaning, and then the redistribution. And then we have this QR code to engage the consumer and really open up complete new digital worlds where, for example, if you drink from this Pepsi cup at a music festival, you can, maybe win a meet and greet with the star, or at least get 20% off your next Pepsi. And if the same container is in a football stadium, you get a different kind of promotion. At a trade fair, you can have a total new digital experience behind the physical asset. And this is something that I mean when I talk about the benefits of reuse. So we should really look at the opportunities that are created by high-quality reusable packaging. And those are certainly also economical.
I remember when we were kids, I'm not sure if they had that in Germany as well, where there was this, McDonald's did this Monopoly game where you could collect all these Monopoly stickers, but it was all plastic, wasn't it? It was
yes,
all plastic.
It's one of the most successful consumer engagement, I think, games or measures or however you want to call it. Yeah. But exactly, this is something that you can easily transform and transfer into the digital world. And I think that those are the opportunities that lie, or some of the opportunities that lie in reusable packaging.
Totally see that. So for the entrepreneurs in the audience, what you present us with here is a final product, but oh my goodness, you didn't start with that. Can you tell us about the story of founding VYTAL and then essentially the sort of the hiccups you had and the roadblocks you saw in your way to finally making this beautiful product?
Very happy to do so. So I think when you think about reuse and this transition that we have to go through from the linear economy to the circular economy, one of the key challenges is scale, right? Because this is where you get all the benefits from reusables, and this is what you are compared to in the current world with the scale and the optimizations that already have been happening in the linear economy. And so what we did in order to start the journey was really basic, right? My co-founders and I, we used to work for the Boston Consulting Group as management consultants. And we always went to the same 5 restaurants around the office to grab lunch. So this is the restaurants that we started with. Then we kind of expanded to all the canteens and collective catering restaurants of our BCG clients. And this is how we started. And if we think about the gastronomy and restaurants and canteens, it's rather small to medium volume use cases for reusables, right? I think thanks to COVID, the share of takeaway in canteens has really picked up and is now at 10 to 20%. But back then, when we started, it was rather around 5%. And so you talk about small, medium number of reusables. So you can use QR codes as a means to track and trace the reusable containers. Now, since last year, we have upgraded our tracking capacity to also incorporate RFID. And this is, for example, what is going into the Pepsi cup. And this is what you need for high volume use cases of reusables, right? So think about an event like this with 35 million thousand visitors. This is where you need it. Think about the Apple Park canteen, where every day they hand out 14,000 lunch meals in single-use containers today, right? For those numbers, this is where you need RFID-based tracking, and this is what we are offering right now, and where we see massive traction from the space, from large corporate campuses, but also large events. So I'm very excited for the Summer Olympics in Paris, where we will supply the German stadium, the German delegation with reusables, and this is what we do. And I think, looking back, I still remember the lunches with the team, with the VYTAL team, where we had like 10 containers in front of us for lunch, and then we looked at the dashboard and saw that the total number of checkout that day was 20. So when we look back in those days, we can be extremely proud that we have already replaced 8.8 million single-use items. At the same time, if we look at the 14 billion that I mentioned in the beginning that are wasted in Germany every year, you see that, yes, we achieved scale, and I'm very proud that we're one of the largest systems, reusable digital platform providers in the world. Right? So we have 600,000 registered users, for example, 7,000 partner gastronomists. So we are reaching scale, but I think this new technology of RFID-based tracking, everything that comes with it, will even boost us even further. And yet, there's a long way to go. And yeah, this is the large and huge business opportunity that presents itself to circular economy entrepreneurs, and that we also want to go after.
Mm. I really like what you said about starting small and sort of starting with what you knew. And you started with the restaurants that you went to, and these were your first customers, and then you iterated and you became bigger and bigger. In my job, what I see is a lot of the founders, they think big very early on, but that then is tied to a certain level of perfectionism, where almost you feel like your product is never ready to go out, and you never feel like, oh my God, maybe my first customers are gonna judge me in the end for what I'm putting out here, and maybe I should iterate again and again and again. What do you say to founders who are in that loop of their thought process? How have you seen things differently in what you did?
It's certainly not a quote from myself, but I don't know who said it the first, basically. But if you don't feel ashamed of your first product, then you've started too late into the market. So this is something that I can definitely quote. So, for the most part, users use the VYTAL app to use our system. And if you download it, you see we have partner gastronomists in France and many different countries. Actually, we're available across 15 countries in 10 different languages. But the way we started was really with a paper-based stamp card for our first consumers. The first 200 VYTAL users, they registered in person with us standing in front of the restaurants, and actually used the system with a paper stamp card. So this is how we started, for example. So the advice is really to just get started, get out. The feedback from the market is the most valuable. You will move the fastest forward. So just get it on.
Just get it on. Now, what's next for you guys?
So as mentioned, we want to reach scale. So we are enlarging basically our number of container under management with the VYTAL platform. So we currently have around 850,000 container under management. And we will expand this to 2.5 million this year, which is super nice because one of the challenges that we've recently solved is also that we can now get these containers from suppliers on a pay-per-use basis. Again, mindset, right? What are the benefits of circular systems and reusable packaging? Our suppliers can now make much more money with us participating on the value creation along each along each cycle, along the full lifetime of a container. So instead of selling us the container only once in the beginning, they can make much more revenue with us by participating in the value creation over the lifetime. So it's better margins for them. For us, it's better cash flow because we don't have to pre-finance the containers. And this really allows us to scale quickly. And so with that having a check mark, we're of course looking for investment. So if you want to join the ride because you're investing into the circular economy, let's talk. And then, yeah, well, I think well on track to reach the ambition to really establish a global operating system for reusable packaging.
So whoever isn't an investor in the room, how can they support you guys in the mission?
Yeah, I think this is exactly it, right? Provide the equity, provide the capital that is needed to scale. I think we have a very smart approach creating this ecosystem that is necessary to really optimize the circular supply chain based on one single system. And yeah, we haven't even started thinking about what we can do with the data that we generate with each transaction of borrowing and returning a container. With consumer engagement, you mentioned the monopoly, right? There are lots of very good ideas that you can create, you know, something like a lottery for everyone that's using reusables is participating in a lottery automatically and so on. So very, very cool things ahead of us. And yeah, I invite you, if you want to join the ride, we're vital for the planet.
And with that, thank you so much, Tim, for joining us.
Thank you.
Danke dir vielmals. All right, and the second thanks to you guys, of course, for joining us here at the stage, on stage, next to the stage, standing up, sitting down, filling up the front row, smiling at us, and supporting the cause. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the second day of Change Now, and I'll hopefully see you later. Thank you.